Okay, so today I'm making some more pasties. Pasties with a difference today for me. Earlier I filmed lovely lockdown lentils, and I halved the ingredients, so that's approximately 800 grams of cooled lentils that I cooked. There might be a bit less because people have been sneaking a little taste here and there. So I'm going to do half of the pasties with lentils, and that's the lentil mixture, so that's a veggie mixture. And then I'm going to do half of, I'm going to do some pasties with, this is a leek I cooked with garlic granules, salt and pepper. You can see they went a bit, the granules went a bit brown, but it's given it a good taste. So lots of seasoning. I parboiled half a swede and made little tiny cubes. I think I've slightly overcooked that because I was doing something else at the time. But it still held its shape. And the swede is actually probably about right. So there's 2 potatoes put into tiny cubes and swede as well. Then I've got 380 grams of 5% beef mince. So this here, that's going to be one pasty filling. And that's going to be another salt, pepper, and I'm actually going to put some crumbled oxo in. I know that sounds odd, but it just gives it a bit more taste. I've never cooked with raw mince in pasties before, so this is a bit of a difference for me. I'm going to give it a go and see what the difference is. I normally pre-cook all my fillings, so what I'm going to do probably first is do my lentil pasties separately, and obviously because they're veggie, and then I'll do my mince ones in a separate film as well. So this is some exciting challenges ahead. I've just thought, I don't know if I've posted it yet, but I did a yogurt, mint and onion dressing.
That's still waiting to go, that one.
Yeah, so that would be fantastic with dahl pasties, well, lentil pasties or the lentil mixture. I've bagged up the lentil mixture that was left. It was about 800 grams, and it's done 3 fairly good portions. So that could be a main in a potato, jacket potato, or it could be a side dish or a small main with rice. And I'm going between the two, but I'm trying to show you how you can use up ingredients for lots of different meals. So today, I got up and I thought, right, what can I cook today? Someone said about lentils. Then I had some mince in the fridge that needed using. So I'm trying to combine the pastry making, which is quite messy, and trying to do all the different fillings. So then I've got lots of options and lots of freezable meals and some things for today. So I will get on. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm just going to put in, look at that colour, it's beautiful, swede and potato. And there, so it's half a swede, a couple of potatoes, put my leek in. We ordered a local, well, a friend actually gave us, they ordered a local veg box, and we got some lovely ingredients, and a leek was in there. And leek isn't something I normally buy. We always have onions. So if you haven't got a leek, you know, an onion would be equally, pre-cooked onion would be equally as good. Okay, and then I'm going to put in, if you can hear some weird grunting, it's one of our dogs. He's rolling around on the floor. He's obviously heard the word mince and he's getting extremely excited. We have to watch him because if you put any food down, it's gone. Yes, he's doing the mince roll. So there we go. So I'm just breaking it up. Now remember, those potatoes and swede was cooled. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. So I'm going to mix that in. I think the difference will be all the juices from the mince will go into the pastry, I'm hoping. So it might give a much more moist pasty. So there we go. So it's 380 grams of 5% mince, because that's what I had. 2 seconds. We haven't prepped for this at all. We just do this one take. If it goes wrong, it doesn't matter. It's only us and a few people watching. I'm going to put in a bit more black pepper, because that's quite a tough one. Some pink pepper.
Salt even.
Yeah, sorry. Don't add more pink pepper because you blow your head off. don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting cooking weary, as you all know. Which you will all experience. And then I'm going to put this in. I know this is odd but I've found this actually gives it. I'm not turning it to gravy as such. I'm just putting in, there's 2 of these I'm putting in. I suppose gravy granules would work if you didn't have OXO. You might not want to put it in at all, but it just gives it, so I mix that in like it is. It doesn't turn to gravy. It's just going in. I mean, obviously it'll turn into a liquid in the pie. So, there we go. So that should do quite a few pasties. And the pastry I'm doing for these pasties shortly, I'm going to do it with Marge to show people, baking Marge, that you can actually, you don't need butter to do pastry, especially the hot water pastry. And a lot of people have Marge in. We don't always have butter in at the moment because when I look back on these videos, it will be, now we're in lockdown, but we are trying to make the best of everything we have. And bless some of the cooks on telly, they're brilliant, and they are, or chefs should I say, but some of the ingredients they come up with, if anything would have been in our house, they remotely mentioned it was gone weeks ago. So some of you, if you have frozen mince, let me turn that on. I would just think you need to defrost it and then use it the same. So I think this is going to be really nice. The only thing I don't like about doing uncooked mince is you can't taste it. So that's why I always do cooked filling, because you can taste what's going to end up in your pasty. So this is a bit of a weird one for me, but I've put in about the same sort of ingredients I would in cooked, and we just see how it goes. It's everything's a trial and error. These might work out the best, they might work out the worst. So we've got our meat pasty fillings and our veggie pasty fillings, or our vegetable lentil fillings. So we keep them apart, and I'll get ready for the hot water pastry. Okay, so I've cut out 2 7-inch circles. That one needed joining, which is okay, and that one there. I've put it on a floured surface so it doesn't stick. It's probably a bit too much flour on there. So what I'm doing now is just rolling out my hot water pastry that I made a few minutes ago for the hot water pastry recipe. And what I need to do is to get 7 inches for my, I've got a 7-inch plate here, so I need to get moving and get this going. Here we go.
Or if you don't have a plate, get an old 45.
Oh god, yeah. So what I'm trying to do is to minimise how many times I roll this out. I'm trying to get this quite long. Here we go. So I can just put the plate on and do a few. Now, like I said earlier on my hot water pastry thing, the more times you handle this pastry, you've only got a very limited time to get moving with this pastry. And I can feel it's already, well, you can see it's already stiffening up. So, here we go. This pastry is so good to work with though. So, I'm just going to go round. Here we are with a tea plate. Now you can see, I probably should have floured that a bit more. But I had a phone call in, from a friend in the middle of the pastry, so it's been stood a few more minutes than it normally would. Now you can see the thickness of that. You need that for a pasty, because if it's too thin, it starts splitting. So I'll put that over there. There we go, another one. Go around there. So now you can see I've got to gather this up and do another re-roll. So every time you do that, the pastry seems to deteriorate a little bit. Well, not deteriorate, but it's not as nice because you're gathering up more flour. Here we go. So I gather this up, bring it together. Hang on a moment. Put a bit of flour on here. Hang on. My husband is just torturing my 16-year-old in the other room. I don't know what he's doing to him. He's trying to make him work faster. He's doing a bit of editing and Henry's rebelling. That's what he wants to do for his career, so it's good practice for him. Obviously torturing isn't advisable for any children.
I don't know, I find it sort of adjusts their attitude.
Okay, and we've got dogs barking in the background. It's all going on. I don't know what's happening. Okay, now this one's a bit thinner. Yeah, that's great.
Well, Henry's been taking him.
Yes, okay, so here we go. So out of that pound of pastry, got one slightly thinner one, one odd shaped one. This happens. That one, this is a joint one. I don't know how that's going to pan out. Should be all right. So nothing, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, can't count. So that's 6. I can't count. I'm losing the will. Honestly, I've done so much cooking today, and all I can think about is getting out into the garden. But what I am thinking about is, because I am doing this now, it's lots of meals in advance. So, just get a bit of water. Normally I do this with egg, but for speed, so you can see I'm left with a bit. That might do a small one. So I'll just put that to one side. So we're going round. Okay, and this is your glue. I normally do it with egg, but water's just as good. Now this is a dahl filling I made. Well, when I say dahl, I call it lovely lentils. Did one just go over the? Oh no, I thought one had just flipped off the Middle Island unit there. Here we go. So I'm going to take some of this. You can see it's quite a dry mixture. Okay. It's probably 2. Keep it onto this side. There we are. So there's 3 tablespoons there. Let me just turn this so you can see. Okay.
Just trying to get it middle of the picture.
Now you're going to pull this over. There we go. Doesn't matter if it's got a bit of colour on it from your fingers or whatever. That's how things are. And then you just press down, and that sort of sticks the 2 sides together. Those of people who don't do any baking. Now you can do this with a fork. Some people turn this over, but because this pastry has been stood a little while, if I turn it, it will crack. So I'm just going to go with a sort of blunt-ended knife. There we go. Just cut that little bit off. Now that, to me, is going to be fantastic. And all you need to do in a moment, which I'll show you, is egg wash it, put it onto a floured tray, a baking tin with greaseproof paper with a bit of flour, because when you put because these have a lot of oil in them already, you don't really want to be adding more oil to the bottom of them. So that's our first little one there. Perfect. Now if you get an odd shaped one like this one, I don't know why that's gone like that, just roll it out a tiny bit, because it's quite a thick pastry. So you get a better shape, go round with a bit of water or egg. Remember, it's already got egg in it, which egg increases the richness to the pastry. Just gives it like something a bit special. Now I was going to put turmeric in these, but completely forgot into the pastry. We're not a fan of turmeric in this house. I don't know, it seems to dry your mouth out. But if you do like it, you could just put half a teaspoon in the flour, and it makes it a beautiful yellow colour. Okay, so here we go. Now you can see, as I do these, I get messier and messier. So obviously you can wash your hands, but I don't want to sort of take up the time because we're doing this little film from home with no experience.
No expense spared.
Yeah.
Or spent.
It's like a family operation because people, ask, how do you do that? How do you do that? And then, you see, I've just caught into the filling, so I'm just going to press that back and hopefully. So that's number 2. This is quite floury. 2 gorgeous little parcels. Look at that.
Can I have a go, G?
No. Can I have a go? No,
I just thought I'd speak, just to show how simple it was that even a buffoon like me could do it.
It is simple, Dav, but you'd have to wash your hands, and by the time you sorted that. But yes, we will get you doing it one day, because I've got the meat one, so maybe you can do later.
Excellent. I get Henry
aren't you lucky?
I am. I like getting my hands on some meat.
Yes.
Nah.
Yeah, so this is all pre-cooked filling. We are trying to shape it almost. Leave your, it's about 1.5 centimetres around the edges. Now I'm getting messier and messier. There we are. Then you just go over, press, press, press. This probably be quite good to get your teenagers doing. Oh God. Or other kids too. There we are. Press down. So that seals that together. I'm just making it as best as I can. There we go. So 3. Now there was 800 grams of filling here when I weighed it, and then so you can see, I don't know, it's going to do them all and probably a tiny bit to spare. So I'm just going to roll this out a little bit more. Now you can see as I'm going on, it's getting more and more drier and cracking. So that's why I'm moving a little bit quicker. Okay, go around the edges. Put this in. These would be nice, sat outside with a shandy, cobra, something like that. Okay. And some of the minty yoghurt that I'm putting on there be perfect with it actually. It's a bit like a rye tea, but my own version. Made with Greek yoghurt, mint, I've put onion and cucumber in. You can see as I'm going on and rushing, they're getting less and less neat. And normally I'd be wiping my fingers off at this point and tidying up a bit. Do, 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 do. Now this is only, the pastry is purely to increase the meal size. Now let's see how this one turns out, because this is one I've joined. Now obviously I'm going to put a bit of water under there. This may fail, but it just shows you that you can sometimes.
I think you solved
yeah, maybe. We'll see. Oh no, I think I'm just going to have enough actually. It's going to be tight. There we are. I'm not very good. I've worked out one thing doing this. I'm not very good at judging portions. I go, oh, this is served 6, and it works out 3. But, you know, so there's a little bit less filling in that one. Okay, now you can see here what's happened, and I wanted this to happen so I could show you. It's split, and you can see where the pastry's drying out. So don't despair. Put a bit of water on there. Get a little bit of your extra pastry. Roll it out quite thin. And it's almost like plugging a hole. So you just, I know it doesn't look great, but if it's just for the family, you know, you're going to have a few disasters. Davin always gets the damages,
Yep.
which he gets excited about.
Quality control.
Yeah. So we're probably at the end of our pastry's flexibility. Yeah. And then when we put the egg wash on, it sort of reinvigorates it all. So we're up to 5 now. Last one. Now luckily this one's quite a nice thick one. Don't worry about rolling on bits of stuff. It doesn't matter. You know, if I had to keep washing this down and washing everything behind me, I'd never leave the house. So this is the last bit now. Now, if I'd have had the proper 800 grams without everyone nicking bits, which they probably have, there we go. It's a just. Yeah, so I reckon 800 would have done 6 comfortably without nibbling. To be honest, I nibbled a bit too because it was really nice. Okay, let's bring it over. Now, because this is thicker, you can see it's behaving better. There we go. This one I might try and do a twist. Well, I'll give it a go. Like I say, I'm not an expert. So, if you're OCD, don't watch this. This would traumatise you. So, normally that comes up like that. That comes up like that. There we go. Oh, that's not gone so well. That way, that way. You get the general idea. So,
ooh, even looks like a pasty.
yeah, so I think
That's come off all right.
yeah, that's not too bad because the pastry was a bit thicker. It didn't seem to dry out as quick. So that's quite a nice way of finishing them too. So you just start from one end. Yeah, so that it finishes it nicely. Now if I tried to do that with another, let's give it another go. Hang on. Go over. Over. You can see where it's drying. It doesn't like being manipulated over as much. That's okay.
Salvage that one. That's all right.
Yeah. So the others I've been a bit meaner or put more filling in. So you can see I couldn't do a good twist with that. It doesn't matter. But these look pretty. They all look lovely. You know, they'll be fine when they're all egg washed down. Right, let's try and do this in one. So 2 seconds. I've got to find where I've put my tray. As you can see, it's all done immaculately. Not.
Oh, in true Blue Peter fashion.
Yeah. Bit of flour. And then keep a bit of distance. If these overlap like this won't cook and you end up with a raw pastry. There we are. So I can get 4 on, probably, yeah, I'll put the other 2 on a different sheet.
You could probably get the 2, what?
Yeah, but then they
lengthwise.
start to overlap and you,
okay.
I did that the other day and then one of them had quite a bit of raw pastry on. Okay, nice free range egg here into a chipped mug. Let's find a fork. I'm trying to do it all in one go. You're doing some being. It just saves a bit of editing time for Henry. Because he's got lots of things to do, you know. Gaming, more gaming. Here we go. So that's a whole egg. Now I used to just use an egg yolk. Actually I found this is fine. So I'm just going to go, here we go, right over. And this will give it a beautiful golden brown finish.
You just do the tops?
No, do the little bit along the side. Obviously don't do the bottoms because they'll be sticking to the paper. Now, some people do this with milk. I just find egg just gives it a really healthy glow. If you just use egg yolk, it makes it very brown, and then if you ever want to reheat them, they look a bit burnt. All the cracks and things now with the egg yolk, it's soaking in and they're sort of disappearing. I'll do this one that I've oh yeah, see it's splitting again. Let me show you, because this is what happens. This is the reality. This one, you can see, is split again. That's okay. Don't give up on it. This will end up just looking like a double pasty. Sometimes if it's in the middle, I'll put a little star on it or something. Okay, now you egg wash that so it's like a glue. And that will hold now. It doesn't look that attractive. There's a crack up there, the egg sealed that. It doesn't matter, does it? It's got the same filling, and you can see it's starting to disappear a little bit. So that's the one that I've repaired, and this is number 6. Evan's yawning because he's exhausted with, with lockdown, you know. Actually, I have to say we do more now than we've ever done. Right, so that's all 6. Lovely lentil filling that we cooked earlier. So we've got 6 out of that. Now there's 3 of us in the family, so that'll do 1 each for lunch and 3 for another day when I freeze them. And I'm going to put them in. I'll let you know later how long they take to cook. But obviously everyone's ovens vary. Because the inner's already cooked, it's not that dangerous. So, you know, if you get them out a little bit early, the fillings cook fine, but you want them to look golden brown, and then you can present them in. We're going to eat ours in the garden with some minty yoghurt, maybe a bit of mango chutney.
Canastella.
Canastella, yes. Oh, think we have got some here somewhere. Yeah, so they go into the oven, they'll be piping hot. My son and my hubby are sort of doing the pasty dance, waiting, because none of us have even had breakfast yet, and it's 12 o'clock. So they're going. Thanks for watching. There might be a little bit on, just telling you about how long to cook after this. So here are the lovely lentil pasties out of the oven. They took
just over 40 minutes.
40 minutes. I left the guys watching them while I was in the garden. And this is the minty yoghurt dip, which goes beautifully with sort of curried lentils, curry, anything like that. So we're going to take these out into the garden and have them for our brunch. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have lots of success with your baking.